All right. All right. Hello, guys. I don't know how to make that intro play without without showing the stream first. It kind of ruins the surprise, but oh well. Okay. Well, I've got Speed of Sound, aka Answers in Atheism, aka my boomer grandpa, on today. So
Yep.
it's probably just be us talking. Oh, thank God I'm not muted. I would be like Amy Newman. She always does that. It's probably just going to be us. But if somebody else wants to come on, I'll consider it. But yeah. So I'm like I said the other day, one of my very nice patrons donated $50 to the channel so that I could upgrade my StreamYard account to the most baller ass one. So that's why I can even stream right now at all, but also that I have this background and it's a 1080p stream, 1080p webcam feed, and I'm also broadcasting from YouTube and Twitter right now and Twitch. So thank you to my patron, Patriot University PhD. So how are you doing, Speed? What's cracking on your channel? You have 420 subs now. That's amazing.
Yeah. So StreamYard, I was giving them $50 a month for a while, and then I realized the only thing they give you, it seems, is another 2 slots. And so I cut it back down to $29 a month. Like for $20 a month, they didn't give you enough extra. So are you on the super premium one, or are you on the one in the middle?
No, I'm on the highest tier because I asked my patron to send me 25 to sign up for the middle one, like you said, and he sent me 50. So I was like, well, I don't want to spend this extra money on something else. I wouldn't really feel right. So I was like, it's enough to get the nicer one. I guess I might as well, right?
Yeah. So I've got to make sure that I trap all of the things that I want to trap today. So anyway, I'm doing okay. I just, it's been a hell of a day and a hell of a night. There's all kinds of stuff going on, like SFT and Doofus, Evidence and Reasons. He's doing a bunch of stuff, talking about his paper. And it's really interesting because he talks about his paper, and their paper was about a program they wrote, which sounds like a really good program, even though there are others that do this, that explains protein or helps them figure out how proteins fold. But then at the end of it, he started talking about the reason they really did it. They're trying to find the signature of God in proteins, right? So that's what they're up to, which is, so they did a paper. They couldn't mention ID or anything like that because they would have never made it past peer review, because scientific journals don't want to get into that garbage, right? So they did that, but then they seem to have like this other idea that over the next 20 years, they're going to find all these signatures of God, that they're actually going to find the operating manual that God put in the genome or in proteins. And we're going to be able to figure it out, and they're going to be able to prove God using this. So it's going to be really interesting. I hope I live for 20 years to see how that works out for them, because I don't think that's going to work out. But you know what they're going to do? They're going to come up with a lot of things that sound good to a lot of people, is what they're going to come up with, right?
Yeah.
And then it's going to take us to go and unwind the algorithms of their program and figure out what they really found, and to push back on it. Otherwise, it's like this battle that we've got, and now that they've gotten into science, we got to hit them back with science, and it's just back and forth and back and forth. And it kind of frightens me a little bit for the future of our education in the United States. I mean, in other countries, I don't think are that affected by this stuff, but we're being affected here. And this bothers me greatly. So anyway.
Yeah.
I just noticed your Nirvana t-shirt.
Oh, thanks. I think Oz has the same t-shirt. Okay. I was just making sure the title of the video is right, because I managed to fuck that up at first. But yeah, StreamYard, you cannot edit the title of your stream once you've created the stream,
right,
at all.
Yeah.
that's some of the decisions on StreamYard are just baffling. Like having to add yourself to your own stream, and people that the stream admin mutes can unmute themselves. I have no idea why that's a feature. I think I was talking to Peter, or were we talking about this? How stupid that is that you have to add yourself to your stream. Yeah,
I'm not sure.
I think I was talking to Peter about this. Like I said, I get you two confused. I likened it to the fact that the host of the stream can mute somebody and that person can unmute themselves. It's like if you had a child safety lock on a car and the kid could unlock the door.
Right.
Same thing. It's like, what is the point then?
Yeah, the only thing you could do is remove them to the back stream. Then they can't.
And then they can instantly add themselves back, though.
They can't.
If they automatically get added, some streams are like that where they automatically get added. Like
really,
if you have a script, like Peter has a script where you can have that where people get added automatically. And included in that script is the ability to mute people without them being able to unmute themselves. Well, like Peter did that to a certain person the other day where he muted them and you could tell the person was trying to unmute themselves and it wasn't working.
The thing is, I think Peter uses either Zoom or something else, Google Hangouts or something like that. And I want to use StreamYard. So I don't know.
Well, he uses StreamYard. But he has a script that Critical Cripple wrote that is added onto the browser in TamperMonkey. It's JavaScript, I believe, and
works with StreamYard. I thought it just worked with
OBS.
No, it works through OBS, but I thought it worked with just Zoom and Google Hangout. But actually, if I get Zoom
installed on Google Chrome, I have it installed as well. I just don't have it turned on right now.
I know, but the script only works for certain things that you're bringing in people through, because it has to create a window for them, and it has to clip that part of the window. So this is Thor. He decided to come on camera and talk to you. So
yeah, I liked the stream that I was on. I was your stream one day when you were playing a video. And I think you said that you stepped away from the computer and then suddenly the video paused. And I said, I bet you his cat did that. And
it did. Yeah.
Like, my cat stepped on the space bar. I was like, fucking call it. I didn't even know you had a cat. And I was like, I know what happened.
Thor and Loki are both, let me see, they're 8 years old now, both of them. They're from the same litter. And they're from far north Minnesota. And they were found in February under a porch. And they were freezing to death. And Loki is permanently damaged. He kind of reminds me of Danny a little bit. And Thor is like the mellowest cat ever. So I don't know. They must have had, like, one of them must have been getting more milk than the other one, because Loki was a little monster when I got him. It took me forever to get that cat to even like me. I don't know. Anyway, but they're 8 years old. I am so excited.
I have to remember to put comments on the screen, because I realized that when you go back and watch a YouTube video and you hear me responding to a chat comment without putting it on the screen, it just sounds like I'm talking to myself, like, oh, hey, Ryan. Oh, hey. Yeah. And they're like, who the fuck is Ryan?
Yeah. I don't know. Ryan Penn. I don't know if I've seen Ryan before.
He's somebody that was one of the very first people to start promoting my channel on YouTube and making videos talking about me.
Well, Ryan, go and subscribe to my channel.
Yeah, he's one of my day ones. So.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And we've done some. We did the last stream I was on. He came on and we watched some videos about gorillas and about crocodiles. It was fun. But tomorrow on my channel, I'm very excited because Gutsick Gibbon is going to be on here, and she's been putting in work lately. Like, she's done videos with a lot of people. Like, she's on like a new channel or a different channel like every day now. So
yeah,
it's no wonder, because I just saw her. I don't know how long ago, celebrating 5,000 subs, and now she's at 6,000. So
yeah.
and I was signed up to her Patreon, and she like literally told me like, no, it's okay, you don't have to be signed up, you can like cancel your thing. I was like, are you sure? She was, and okay, because I do think that if you're a YouTuber with a Patreon and you're pledged to another YouTuber that has a Patreon, it's like, aren't you kind of just like subtracting money from your own Patreon? Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you should look at it that way, but
yeah, I'll probably be doing this about maybe 3 or 4 years, and then I'm either going to have to go back to work or get a refrigerator box to live in, one or the other. So yeah,
or coffin.
So yeah, well, coffin might help, but I won't know about that. So who gives a shit? That would be a good, that would be a reasonable financial plan for me, is to just die. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe we can launch your body into space if that happens, just for science.
For science. I am older, and if I do die, you got to know that I'm going to laugh when I die, because it is the funniest goddamn thing ever to just drop dead. I mean, especially if it's like, if I drop dead in a weird situation,
I agree.
I mean, I will just laugh when I get off.
I like the quote from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where the Danny DeVito's character is like, when I'm dead, just throw me in the trash.
Yeah.
And I forget who said this, but they were talking about the idea of like at their funeral, like playing one final prank on everybody and having like the coffin rigged up to where like it pops open and like your corpse like comes up. Like,
that's so cool. Well, yeah, I've got a T-shirt that I want my sons to bury me in. I've got two. One is a Smashing Pumpkins 0 shirt. It says 0, but the one I really want, it says, "You're laughing now, but will you be laughing when I crawl out from underneath your bed?" And that's the T-shirt I want, to be buried in. Because everybody that comes up and sees my body, they're going to have to read that. They're going to be like, wait, what? What did he say? Yep, you're laughing now, motherfuckers.
Well, I like that song.
0? Yeah, I like 0.
I don't really know what to say to the second thing you said, but
yeah, the second thing would be cooler, a lot more right on point, like they'll be up there like, oh yeah, he doesn't look like himself, and then wait a minute, what does that T-shirt say? Think about it when you go to sleep tonight, my friend.
Well, you do kind of look like Pennywise from the movie It.
Cool. Thank you. That's a compliment. But should I? Well, okay. So I used to. I'm a drug addict, right? And I used to drink a bit and get a little high, and we would have these parties, and I would dress up with a mohawk wig, or is that what they call it? Yeah, I think so. Why don't I know that term? Yeah, with the hair sticking straight up, and it was like
orange. How does that stay attached to your head?
They have these glue strips you can use, and I would use that, and then I would fluff my hair out like that, and then I would paint my face like Insane Clown Posse, and then I wore a vampire shirt that I picked up at Hot Topic, which was red silk, and then these ripped up pants with all these satanic symbols on them. And I would answer the door, and like, these teenagers would be there, and I'd be like, "Come in, nobody's going to hurt you." And they'd be like, "What the fuck?" And we'd have bands. We got bands to play and all kinds of shit at our we had a hobby farm. It was it's just that I've always had sort of a dark, little bit of humor, and but anyway, I got along really good with the kids, and I took very good care of them, and nobody drove drunk. And in fact, until I got really bad, we never even really had a lot of alcohol involved. But of course, things went south, as they do. But anyway, everybody was taken care of, so it was it was all good fun, and we had a lot of fun. So,
well, I don't drink alcohol, because I know a lot of people my age probably do, but I don't want to lose control of myself like Caitlin Bennett and shit in my pants when I'm drunk.
Yeah, that's always when you've had enough. I I guess I won't say who it is, but he actually did that at a bar, and they had to tell him to leave. And I'm like, oh my God, Darren, you are so far gone that, you know, when that happens to you, it's just.
I'm not going to say who this is, but Jesus Christ, Darren, who lives in Minneapolis.
Well, yeah, I don't want to say how I know him, because somebody could put it together. But, you know, I didn't mention his last name, and, you know.
Okay, I'm just saying, you know.
And he's probably so fucked up tonight he wouldn't, you know, ever hear this anyway.
Darren, who the fuck is that? Like.
Yeah, right. Yeah. God, that guy. Oh my God. He was a piece of work. He was like super racist, and I didn't know it. And
yeah, that's always interesting when you don't know that about somebody, and then they just sort of drop like a hard R, and you're like, oh, check please.
Yeah. Well, where I found out is me and him went and got really drunk downtown Minneapolis. And if you've been out on downtown Minneapolis on a Saturday night, you're running about 50% white boy, right? And
chance of dying.
Well, if you bring a racist mother like him along with you, the chances of the fact that I survived that night, I have no idea. And we were hanging around with this black dude whose name was Michael O'Shanahan or something. And I said, no, Darren, no, he's not black, he's Irish. And I was trying to, and Darren was fighting with this guy that we were hanging out with, right? And then he picked a fight with like stray people on the street, and he was, fortunately the people he picked a fight with were too drunk to land a punch, or they would have killed him. And I barely got out of there with my life. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe I went downtown Minneapolis and I did not know that he was a card carrying KKK member. I found out later that he had, oh my God, it's like, how could I? And I knew the guy for like 10 years, you know, it's like, Jesus. Anyway, yeah, you don't want to find that out downtown Minneapolis when you're both so drunk you can't even find your car. You know, it's just, I don't know. Anyway.
Well, if you're that drunk, it's probably a good thing if you don't find your car. But I heard from Aaron Ra that he told me that somebody that was friends of Kent Hovind's family members heard from them that Kent had attended a white supremacist rally at one point.
Yep. Yeah, which I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, after watching the video I showed you, wouldn't be that surprising, you know. And Kent Hovind mentioned recently that he attended a rally for these group of people who want to try and overturn our democratically elected president, Joe Biden, try to reverse the election.
Yeah.
Which I see as an extension of the domestic terrorists that tried to perform a coup on our democratic process in Washington, D.C. This is just a sort of nicer version of that, where they're having these rallies.
Yeah.
It doesn't surprise me, but, you know, Kent, it's like, you know, you really have no credit to, you have no right to try and say who should or shouldn't be the president when you're a sovereign citizen. Like, sorry, but if you want to say in your legal documents, in your case, when you're suing the United States government for $500,000 or $500 million, that you are not in the jurisdiction of the United States because you did not live in a territory of the United States, even though you lived in Florida, then if you're saying you're not a U.S. citizen, then you have no right to complain about who the president is of the United States, Kent Hovind, you scumbag.
Yeah. Yeah, Seth Meyers did a show the other day, and he was talking about how he's going to be like 70 or 80 years old, and they're still going to be trying to overturn the 2020 election.
Right.
It's like, yeah, if we just overturn that 2020 election, it's like, well, wait a minute, we've had 5 presidents since then. What's going to happen if you do overturn it? You know, what are you going to do?
You guys already got the the 2000 election when you shouldn't have, where George W. Bush got elected. Like, can't you be happy with that? And I mean, you got 8 years of him.
Yep. Yeah, I was actually on the Republican side of that equation back in 2000, and then I finally abandoned the Republican Party after they just got worse and worse and worse, and it was, I don't know.
Yeah, well, we all make horrible mistakes.
I made a horrible mistake, and I'm trying to make amends.
Yeah, you know, I've become more and more of a leftist recently, because like around like 2016, I would have called myself politically homeless, because
Yeah.
I've always considered myself not on the right, but I went through a sort of cringy, like anti-feminist, anti-SJW phase when that was all the rage on YouTube, because
Yeah.
you know, I was watching, and some of those channels were a lot worse than they are. Like I was watching like Chris Ray Gun and Shoe on Head, who I think have always made good content. But then you had people like No Bullshit and some of the really lame anti-feminist channels who were doing stuff that was a lot more toxic. But, you know,
Yeah.
so I felt like, well, these people, if they're on the left, you know, this is awfully embarrassing for me, you know. And so I was moving more towards the center. And I started listening to the Ben Shapiro podcast every day. And it got to the point where it actually influenced how I voted, because I voted for Ted Cruz, which I'm very ashamed to say, against Beto O'Rourke. Which even I will say that if I had voted for Beto, I'm sure he would not have won anyway. But you know, I feel like I sort of got brainwashed by listening to that podcast and consuming some of the YouTube right content. And I've since, you know, completely rejected that. And one of the channels that's helped me a lot is watching Vosh. You know, so it's true. It's like you said, you know, like we all make mistakes. I definitely regret that vote. Even if it didn't matter, you know, but at the time I was, you know, it was because of people like Maxine Waters on the left.
I don't regret the Republicans that I voted for, because back then who you voted for wasn't as critical because they weren't so far apart and they weren't quite so crazy. I mean, they kind of got crazy during the Bush era, I think, more crazy, but you know, they were, I don't know. The Republicans were a little more to the center back then, and it wasn't, you know, so it wasn't as big a deal as it is now. Now it's like voting for the devil, or, you know, I mean, like, I'm not going to vote for the devil because that's what, you know, that's what we had in office in the last 5-6 years. I basically started moving away from the Republican Party when I was like a Rush Limbaugh addict for a while, and he was all I listened to, right? And you know, and I had a business, and I, you know, was paying ridiculously high taxes. I'm middle class, and middle class people are who, you know, feel it, you know, when they raise taxes normally, and so I had this whole, you know, thing built up, and I was listening to this. But then I remember one day I was listening to Rush, and he said something that was so stupid and so biased. And like Republicans had done something that was so clearly not opposed to everything that we stood for, you know, or I thought we stood for, that I had to turn them off. And I turned them off and never turned them on again. And I don't know, it was just, but then since then I've been sliding further to the left. I mean, quickly. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and you know, definitely a part of that was me, you know, coming out as bi and, you know, being part of an LGBT community. You know, it kind of forces you to reject the right, because they are trying to directly infringe on the rights of these people, which I call myself a member of that community. And
back then they weren't. You know, that didn't used to be a topic. And like back in the 60s and even the 70s, I think, even abortion wasn't a strictly Republican platform, right? They got in all that crap in like between 1970 and 1990. That's when they started, and the whole principle, the reason I was a Republican is because I believe in the sanctity of a man's home and a man's, what a man believes. And, oh God, I'm saying man, what a person's home and what a person believes and all of that. So I believe that your home, like police busting in and searching your home, that is, to me, is unconstitutional and all of those things. And then the Republican Party started busting in people's homes and trying to get into their bedroom and trying to get into women's wombs. And
Right.
that was not the message that I signed up for the Republican Party. It was this autonomy, where
Right.
the sanctity of the individual, right?
Right. Well, the bodily autonomy is the very, very first right that every person has because they're literally a person. So when
Right.
Conservatives,
and they will take it away from you.
Yeah, it's like they want to talk about small government and having the freedom to do the things that you want, but then they want to limit reproductive health care for people who can get pregnant. It's like, well, it's like you said, trying to go into people's wombs, and by doing it by government decree. Like, I live in Texas, and we just had the governor here pass a law that says abortions can only happen after a certain amount of time, or some, I forget exactly how it was worded, but he put a very arbitrary limit on. Past this point, you can't get an abortion, which
6 weeks. Is it 6 weeks?
Which is ridiculous because
you don't even know you're pregnant.
Yeah, that's so soon. And most abortions, if you want to put a limit on that, I can tell you exactly when. You should put it at 21 weeks, because after 21 weeks is when a fetus starts to develop nerve endings and then can feel pain and has and you could say has senses. Before that, there's no nerve development, So, and most abortions, I think something like 90% take place at or before 21 weeks. So say 6 weeks, it's just ridiculous. It's like you said, most women probably might not even know, or that's such a short amount of time to decide, that's less than 2 months, and you make a decision that affects the rest of your life.
I think we were fine at what is it, the second trimester, right? Like, something like that.
I forget how long that is, like
3 months.
Yeah.
So 6 months, 6 times 4, 24 weeks roughly. So right around there, then it becomes sort of a gray area. The baby's pretty well developed, but they don't have a mind until they get out.
Around, it's like I was saying, around 21 to 24 weeks is, before you have nerves developing. So I'm fine if, it shouldn't be banned at an arbitrary time anyway, but obviously, that's a much more sensible time than 6 weeks.
It's a compromise, like when I come at them, I start at 1 year of age that you should be able to abort the baby until it's a year old. And if you come at them from that high spot, they crumble. It's really kind of cool. They're happy to get six months out of you. So, but you gotta hit them. You gotta hit them from the most ridiculous position that you can, or the most.
Surely nobody would actually hold that position except. Oh wait, Cheshire Vic actually does. Oops.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. 1 year, I think it's fair. I don't know that kid doesn't have a job, can't say shit. What the hell.
Yeah, pretty sure that might be murder, but
Well,
anyway,
yeah.
Hello, David.
I know my positions are not often popular, but
wait, are you serious about that?
No.
Okay, that's what I thought.
But it's funny as hell.
I realized what you were saying.
But it's funny when you start arguing with somebody about abortion and you hit them from that point of view. You got to watch their faces. I mean, they're just like, "Oh shit," It's going to take me forever just to get 6 months out of this guy. I mean,
but the thing is that Kent Hovind uses that same argument against abortion, though.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is so ridiculous. But Yeah, David Pneff in the chat. Great
Hey,
video
David.
with creation myths, Dr. Dan. I have to call him Dr. Dan every single time I reference him because I'm trying to do it to make up for all of the times that SFT calls Kent Hovind Dr. Hovind.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I'm trying to even things out, you know. But it's a great channel, Creation Myths. What I like about it is that, and I left this comment on his channel the other day, and he hearted it. So thank you, Dr. Dan. That
Yeah.
I said that his channel is very straightforward and data driven. You know, he gives presentations, and they're really no bullshit. Like I like to have some editing in my pre-made videos, and I like to make some of my meme videos and stuff, but there's definitely value in videos that are strictly informational. Like his video about vaccines is really good. It was very informative for me.
Yeah.
And I learned quite a bit from that. And
I want to do that, but I can't do that live. I have to do it on an edit because my mind just flies all over the place, right? And I can't contain it. But I wanted to do some decent scripts and explain a few things. But I'm looking for some decent animation software that doesn't cost me an arm and a leg. I think I found something the other day, but I don't know. We'll see how it works out. But I want to do just at least one video that just puts out the content as in a way that everybody can assimilate it. It's entertaining and whatever. And if I could learn that in the next year, then I think my channel will go somewhere. Otherwise, it's just gonna flop around like a fish.
The app that I use to edit on my phone is hold on. It's called UCut. It's free to use, and it's very easy to use. And there are the format that it is. There are a lot of apps on the App Store. I'm talking about Android video editing apps that are paid for, and this one is free, and it has many of the same features, and it's very easy to use and intuitive.
iMovie is really pretty good for editing. I think I find it easy to use, but what I want is something like Doodly. If you've ever seen that, you can. It has a little hand that draws things, and you can have animation and stuff. But Doodly, what they do is they sell you something that's inadequate, and then they try to upsell you on all these packages.
Yeah,
and I just got tired of it. I mean, as soon as I got there, it's like, okay, I was already paying like $30 a month, and they wanted another $80 for every package, and I couldn't find a package that I wanted, for an animated character. And I don't know, I kind of want like something in a tutu, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. Some kind of animated character. Did my cat just show his ass in the camera? God damn, Thor! What did I told you about this, Thor? No,
I didn't see nothing.
Okay.
Geez, I lost my train of thought.
With the cat ass.
No.
Kind of train Thor.
So
I don't know where Loki is. He's out hunting birds or insects or something.
Oh, I remember what I was going to say. So I appreciate you saying that you thought my video, or at least the one I showed you, that my videos are entertaining. Because I really try to, I know, like I mentioned, Dr. Dan, he does it, like you said, like live streaming, but like Jackson Wheat, his videos are extremely information heavy, but I can't, I feel like I can't make that type of content just like that, because I feel like it'll be boring. Like I have to, I'm somebody who really can't take situations very seriously, and I'm constantly joking, and I try to I try to make my videos funny. I couldn't say whether or not I actually succeed at it, but I try to make them entertaining and to have some interesting editing and like some nice visuals. I like to have the aesthetic of my channel is sort of like dark black and gray colors and a metallic theme, and I like sort of hard angles and clean lines, So that's sort of why I added this background and stuff. And I like to have good transitions between my when I'm making response videos like to Kent Hovind. I try to make it so things aren't too jarring, and good audio is always good too. So I've been doing a lot more streams lately, but I would like to get back into making some more edited content, because I can really go back and rewatch those videos, which is fun, especially if I haven't seen them in a long time. And Peter was telling me that it's good that I have a variety of content on my channel, where I have shorter videos. I have the three types of videos I have on my channel in terms of length are my short, really short, like meme videos, which I love making. Those are probably the most fun I have making. And then my longer videos that are like response videos, and then my streams, which are the longest. But I think it's good to have shorter videos on the channel too, because if I click on a YouTube channel I haven't seen, and it's nothing but long streams, it's a little overwhelming. Like, no offense to you, Speed, but
I know.
Well, I think your show is it's usually about like 2 hours or so, right?
Yeah, I cut it off at 2 hours because
I'm talking about I'm talking about when you go to channels and it's like a bunch of 4 and 5 hour streams and nothing else. It's like, where do I even start? So on my channel, I have my channel trailer listed as a video. And then I have a lot of shorter videos, and then the streams are for if you want something long form where you can sort of listen to it in the car, or like I like to listen to these streams when I'm getting ready to fall asleep, and then I'm not even looking at my phone. I'm just listening to it.
I do that too. Yeah.
So that's why I appreciate these type of content.
I'm trying to steer the weather report, and then when we run out of topics, even if it's only 1 hour in, I'm going to shoot it in the head, as I put it, as I lightly put any of my videos. But I want to try to keep like a couple times when Danny came in and they went down some rabbit hole. I mean, I'm going to cut that stuff so that. Then the other thing I was thinking of doing is when people get into a topic like we did a couple days ago on what is atheism. I'm just going to put everybody else in the back room except for 2 people and let them go at it, and then switch out somebody else, because I know when I turn a video off, and it's when people start over talking, when the content just goes down into some rabbit hole that I don't care about, for that sort of thing. So I'm going to try to be a little harsher with people, and I apologize to everybody when I put people in the back room from now on. It's going to be basically to create good content, not to piss anybody off. But I think everybody pretty much understands that. So
and
I hate to put Peter in the back room. God, I have so much respect for Peter.
Me too.
That it's hard for me, but sometimes Peter over talks, and it's like, you got to put him in the back room if he does that. And I just have a hell of a time. I usually end up putting Otangelo in the back room instead. And then Otangelo rage quits on me because I'm biased as hell, Yeah.
What can I do? I will say that Otangelo has never rage quit on me. He's quit because somebody else was over talking him. But when me and him have talked one-on-one, it's always been cordial, and people have left comments saying this, like, wow, when Otangelo talks to you, like, it's a completely different sort of atmosphere. And that is the kind of angle or atmosphere that I like to sort of create on my channel. I don't really like getting into confrontational discussions. But I did talk about this with Peter, and I said, Peter, even when you and me are talking one-on-one like this and we're offline, you still overtalk me sometimes, like, and
I know,
and he knows.
He knows.
But, yeah.
He told me to throw him out when I have to, or just mute him or whatever. And it's like, God, Peter, I don't want to do that. I'd rather you police yourself. But I don't know.
He told me, if you need to tell me to shut the fuck up, just do it. And then I waited probably about 5 minutes, and then he was talking, and I just was like, Peter, shut the fuck up.
And he did. It was cool. It was really good.
Yeah, just to sort of
I was
understand.
screaming at you during that Danny apology thing. I was screaming at you, throw Danny out, throw Danny out, throw Danny out. I mean, I was in my car driving and I almost drove off the road. And
Oh,
I'm gonna,
you were watching it, and
yeah,
just like
I'm gonna cut that video. I'm gonna cut out the. There's two parts. There's one part where Danny is totally wrong about natural selection, and then there's interleaved with that is another part where Danny is really being a little weenie. And I'm gonna cut out the weenie Danny, and I'm gonna play that maybe tomorrow or the next day with your permission. And I just basically I want to explain to people why Danny got tossed out of my show, you know, and why he's probably not going to be back until he learns some manners first, learns how to communicate and have an interchange with people second, you know. And sometimes Danny can do it really well, and other times he comes in just full of, like, you know what I mean? Like it's almost like dealing with two different people.
yeah,
Just, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really want to talk about Danny, but since you brought him up, I
guess we didn't.
Yeah, I liked how there was one part, or you know, how he kept saying that I didn't know what the topic was or didn't know anything about the topic, even though I presented one of Fodor's criticisms of natural selection and my response to it, and Danny was just like, "Oh, Fodor didn't really say that." I'm like,
Yeah,
well,
right. He did.
Go tell Massimo Pigliucci that, because he is also saying the same thing.
Right.
Like,
yeah, really, the whole thing really pissed me off. Him and I think CRISPR even was saying, Speed doesn't understand the argument. And it's like, and then about 20 minutes later, CRISPR was using the same arguments on him that I was trying to use 20 minutes earlier. And I'm like, what the hell didn't I understand? You know, the coextensive relationships, the tautology, all of that stuff. I mean, the thing I did not understand about Fodor's argument originally was that it is so goddamn wrong. It is so not even wrong and not even applicable to natural selection or evolution that I had a hard time believing he wrote an entire book about how wrong he was. I mean, I can't believe
it was a book. It was a book. Are you saying that he didn't write something in a peer-reviewed scientific literature in a respected journal?
He wrote one. No, he
right?
wrote an article called "Pigskin." Why pigs don't have wings, and I think that was an article somewhere. And then he wrote a book.
But but the thing everybody was talking about is what Darwin got wrong, right?
I think he wrote one paper, but I'm not sure where it was published. I think I have it here somewhere. It's Fodor 2007.
If it was titled that, then I kind of doubt that it. I'm just saying, why should we even give a fuck about this person if
I know
just a book, like, if it's not scientific peer reviewed literature, if it can't even survive that, then why should I even care about the criticism?
Well, the reason is the group that he came from are, you know, constantly leveling these criticisms. And so people have to pay attention to them because they have this academic standing, right? And so that's basically why. And then the other thing is that when I hear a criticism of evolution or natural selection, I pay attention and I want to know what it is, because I want to know if we're getting something wrong, right? I mean, so you always, like, especially when Fodor managed to put things in such obtuse language, you know, just all tangled up. He sounds like he knows what he's talking about.
So Why Pigs Don't Have Wings was published in the London Review of Books.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought.
And I'm going to read, because I wrote down my criticism, or I wrote down my what I told Danny, because I've had to present this multiple times now. Let's see. Okay, yeah, it's not, and this is an argument that an evolutionary biologist, Jerry Coyne, not Pigliucci, put forward.
Against Fodor?
Yeah, against Fodor. And okay, so I wrote this down. It says that Fodor may claim that there is no way to tell whether a trait was selected for or was merely a correlate. But in reality, biologists have different ways of determining which is the case. And the example that Coyne gives is the famous peppered moth as a classic example of biologists being able to conduct tests and studies to confirm it was the moth's color morph that was the trait that was being selected. And so, this was what I presented, even though Danny says that I don't know what Fodor's claim against natural selection is. And we went through everything about the peppered moth example and said,
And
this is what natural selection is. And at every point he was like, okay, that's reasonable, that's reasonable, that's reasonable. And then at the end he was just like, and so we were like, yeah, so that's natural selection. And he's like, no, I reject natural selection.
No, it's not. Yeah, he rejects that. Yeah. I couldn't, it's like, what the hell? I mean,
I made the analogy. I said that saying that you accept evolution, but you reject natural selection is like saying, I love Mexican food, but I hate tortillas.
Right.
You can't really have one without the other.
Was the Jerry Coyne thing a pity about Fodor? Was that the one, or?
It was a response to the book.
Okay, let's see. An attack on evolution. Jerry Coyne's written a number of things against Fodor. Yeah, he's got a site called Why Evolution is True. And let me see.
He's an evolutionary biologist, which Danny is not.
Yeah. Yep, white pigs don't have wings, a case against Darwin or whatever. Yeah, anyway, I don't know. It was, it was just so, it's from such a naive quarter, that, anyway, we're going to do some stuff next week on it. I'm hoping can be some content.
On natural selection?
Yeah.
See, because what I started talking about in our stream with Danny was that, forget Fodor. Okay, we need to reverse this like a big giant truck backing up going beep beep beep. We need to go backwards, and we need to iron out what is the definition of natural selection, what is the definition of what a mechanism is, what is the definition of a scientific theory of a fact of law, all this, and we couldn't even agree on that. So I said, and I was just presenting the definitions from the Natural Center for Science Education. And, I remember at one point, Danny was mocking me for reading a definition from Google and saying oh, well, that definition is tautologic and flawed. It's like, well, this is the definition of the term. So, you sound like a bit of Orange to me. If you've ever watched A Bit of Orange, he says, the definition of evolution is flawed. And it's like, well, 150 years of science says that you're wrong and stupid and also probably ugly. So
I have to quit sticking. I have to quit sticking cats in my face. My God.
Yeah, that's why I don't have any animals.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll recover. Sticking a thorn in my face.
I look forward to that. But I'm also looking forward to talking to Erica tomorrow on my channel. I've prepared a list of questions. Hopefully they're good. I'm hoping, because I've got a lot of people that enjoyed my last interview with Aaron, so I'm hoping that this can sort of live up to that. But it's gonna be like she asked me oh, is there anything I should brush up on? And I'm thinking I'm not going to try and ask you a bunch of complicated trivia questions. I did give her a couple of the questions I would ask just so I respect that she wants to be prepared, but it's not going to be like a test or anything, because I'm imagining that I'm going to learn a lot more from her than, I could teach her,
What time is that again?
It's
Central
5 p.m. Central.
5 p.m. Central. Okay.
I don't know if you're in that same time zone.
I am. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. In fact, I'm directly north of you by about 1,500 miles. So you can drive that in a day if you're a masochist. But
yeah. So, and Peter's going to be producing that, so it'll look fancy.
Cool. Yeah.
Fancier than this. I mean, I know my stream looks pretty good now, but I like how Peter does it, with the moving background and all that stuff. So
Yeah. So Shasta X is saying that macro is micro is reasonable, but macro is not. I don't know who Shasta X is. I'm not sure.
That's like saying, well, I can walk 10 feet,
Yeah.
but nobody's ever walked 10 miles. Okay, that's
Yep.
just unreasonable.
It's unreasonable. Yeah. Well, the thing about evolution that we don't often talk about is that the reason that evolutionary biologists believe in evolution is not because of some one piece of evidence or fossils or any one thing. The reason we believe in it is because we know what each step is, right? We know how mutations work. We know how protein folding works. And there's all of these things go together, and there is no part of that. There's no part of turning a fin into a limb that is not perfectly conceivable by somebody who studied molecular biology and embryology and genetics. And then for most people, you don't have that information, right? But that's the kind of information that we want to start giving people, is those micro steps, how it's feasible, because before I really delved into the topic, I was primarily into neuroscience about 5 years ago. And before I delved into the topic, there were some things that when I thought about them, it's like, well, yeah, how the hell does that happen? I don't understand how, I had trouble understanding how a zygote turns into a human being. And so I went and got 2 textbooks on it, and I started to figure that out. And when I started figuring that out, I realized, oh my God, now I can see how evolution works. Because if you understand how an embryo develops, it's the same story as to how evolution happened.
Right.
And how do we? Do you know what I mean? Huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's called Evo Devo.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a newish field in evolutionary biology, and this is something that I tried to explain to Kent Hovind on the phone.
Oh my God!
There are 2 phone calls I had with Kent that are on my channel. If you ever check those out, and I also told him this in our debate. I told him how because he asked me, he was like, has a human ever come from a single-celled organism? And I was like, yes.
Yeah.
And he was like, no way. And I was like, yes. I was a single cell when I was in my mom's womb,
Right.
and I'm now a full-grown human. And he's like, that's fundamentally different. That's not like evolution.
No,
it
ain't.
Is it though? Because and I told him, I was like, I know that you don't think that this scientific theory is true, but don't you find it interesting that the way that humans develop, with starting off with a single cell in the womb and dividing and becoming multicellular, living organisms that are extremely complex, and how that's mirrored how the story of how life began on Earth began with single-celled organisms, and eventually, I'm simplifying, but eventually that led to humans living on Earth. And he was like, no, there's no connection between those 2 things at all. I'm like, okay.
It's exactly the same chemistry, the same genetics, except that one happens, in real time and we can watch it. And the other one changes that substrate that becomes the organism over many, many, generations. And if you believe that a zygote can turn into a fully functional adult organism, then you have to believe in evolution. And you only know that when you study all of that science, all of that, stuff that leads up to it. And then you become very certain of it. So the reason I believe in evolution is, like Standing for Truth loves to say, what is your best evidence for evolution? Well, it consists of about 300 textbooks behind me. Do you want to hear all of it?
I like to just say genetics,
Yeah.
Because what is evolution other than common ancestry? And what's the proof of common ancestry? It's genetics.
Yeah.
And I responded to this, and I told this to Kent Hovind in the debate. I said, we have, like, you say that common ancestry is, oh, that's awesome, Oz. I think Oz has this same shirt that I'm wearing. I think I've seen him.
Yeah, I have that same shirt too.
Yeah. I told Kent Hovind that, he says that, common ancestry isn't true, but the similarities between different animals it's it could be proof of a common designer instead. And I told him that the proof of common ancestry is genetics, but you don't have any proof like that for a common designer. And his response to that was, farmers know that cows produce cows. And I'm like,
Right.
what does that have to do with a common designer?
But
Like, he had
farmers
farmers know that
yeah.
evolution is true. Like,
Yeah.
they
Farmers
use it.
also know that if you cross a Angus with a Holstein, you'll end up with a really big beef cow. And neither an Angus or a Holstein came from that union, right? Farmers know
Mhm.
that. So
Yeah. But I
that makes
love it. Yeah,
what a
I
hell of
love
a good steak, by the way.
yeah. I agree. I love Nirvana Unplugged. I love the
Oh, the
song Lake.
Unplugged album. Yeah, that was great.
I
I
love
love
the song
Mary.
Lake. Yeah, I love the song Lake of Fire. And my
What was
favorite is
the
the last song, Where Did You Sleep Last Night? I love that song. I love his
yeah,
version of it.
that's the one I called Mary just now. The way he emotes on that song is just incredible. I mean, he just really pours his life and soul into that. My daughter actually partied with them back before they became famous, back in
That's
Seattle.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that you can see it in his face, because there's a moment during that song where he stops for a second and sort of gives this weird look into the camera. But yeah, the way that he strains his voice, and I mean, all of the songs on there are great, but I like that they play some songs from Bleach, because Bleach is one of the most underrated rock albums. A lot of
Yeah.
people who are Nirvana fans probably haven't heard it, but it's a great album. Like, I love the song About a Girl, and you know, um,
I just put a song recommendation in public chat. It's called The Veils, and it says the song is Not Yet. And he's one of those singers that just emotes so powerfully that I mean the song sort of builds up slow and he just goes nuts. It's just unbelievably good. But you want to listen to the studio version of it, not not something done in a. But he does a pretty good job for live shows too. But anyway, The Veils, Not Yet. Check it out if you like. If you like that song by Nirvana, you will love this thing. It's pretty
yeah,
cool.
yeah. My favorite band is Nine Inch Nails, and I've seen them live twice. And yeah, Trent Reznor, he's an extremely emotive singer too. And they're an incredibly great live band.
Yeah, I think we saw them once. Once I think I don't know. I can't drive with Nine Inch Nails playing because I get into car accidents. I don't know why, but there's something about I just start driving like a nutcake, and then I do
Yeah,
car dance, where you
yeah,
turn your wheel and you start dancing. And that is a really cool thing to do if somebody's tailgating you. Plug in some Nine Inch Nails and start car dancing, and they will back the hell off real fast. It's amazing.
yeah.
You're
Just
like going all over.
maybe
Yeah.
if you're listening to March of the Pigs, but because I have heard, I've had some people tell me like, oh, I don't like listening to them because it's angry music. But there's a lot of songs by Trent Reznor that are very quiet and emotional. I
Yeah.
know that
Yeah.
yeah, I haven't heard of Marigold also, though that sounds kind of familiar.
Yeah, it
And
reminds me of Pink Floyd a little bit. That every now and then they would just go off into these strange, quiet places in their mind, and then come back with something. It's just pretty cool.
yeah,
Pink
you mean
Floyd
like the
was pretty cool.
dynamics of a song, like a song being loud and then quiet?
Yeah,
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 that's not something that the Pixies invented. Like you said, Pink Floyd did that, but it's something
yeah,
that the Pixies really popularized in the 90s. They
yeah.
were really, like,
Right.
I would say, like the first big alt rock band to do that. And yes, the Downward Spiral is, in my opinion, my favorite album, and I think one of the greatest albums ever made. Certainly one of the greatest albums of the 90s, and one of the best alternative rock albums and industrial albums of the 90s. And um, it's an incredible, amazing project that I have listened to, I don't know how many times, but it still is as good as the first time I heard it. And I can definitely say that my parents probably shouldn't have bought me that CD when I was like 13 years old, because I
Yeah.
had to listen to the song Heresy with the volume turned down so my dad wouldn't hear it. But
Yep.
that
What the hell
song
do I have on?
probably helped influence me to be a harder atheist. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I love there are so many eras of Nin, and I'm a big fan of 80s music, like 80s synth pop and um, like alternative pop music of the 80s, and bands like Devo and The Cure and
The Cure. Yeah.
Gary
Uh,
Newman. Um,
Depeche Mode.
Yes,
You like?
Depeche Mode. I couldn't think of it, but and
Yeah.
those bands had a huge influence on the first Nine Inch Nails album, which is Pretty Hate Machine. And I know
Yeah.
some people complain about how poppy that album is, but I love it. And Trent Reznor has always had a way of incorporating pop elements into harder industrial music to make it more catchy. And he's always had great sensibilities about pop music and what's popular. That's why, because I don't know if everyone knows this, but the song Old Town Road from Lil Nas X, which was the song that had the longest running amount of time as a Billboard #1 ever, that song, the sample for that beat is from a Nine Inch Nails album, 2008, and an instrumental album called Ghosts 1 through 4. And that Trent Reznor released that
Wow.
album under a Creative Commons license so that anybody could take that music and use it for their own purposes. And so the producer, I forget his name, the producer that made the beat for Old Town Road sampled this song. It's called Ghosts 34 and made the beat for Old Town Road in it. And so that's just one reason. And, that's why Trent Reznor, I think, also got some of the awards that song got. So he was basically behind one of the biggest songs of this decade, if you look at it that way, which I think is really interesting. Yes, The Perfect Drug is awesome. And the last time that Nine Inch Nails was on tour, they had never played The Perfect Drug live until that, like 2 days before I saw them. And then when I saw them, they were playing a song called "Burned" from the soundtrack for Natural Born Killers, and the power went out in the middle of that song. And so Trent Reznor said, to make up for it, basically, because the power went out, and then like a minute later, they had everything fixed, and then he said that, okay, we're gonna play this song that wasn't on the set list, and then they started playing The Perfect Drug, which sort of blew my mind.
Wow.
And it was awesome because they weren't going to play that song, and that was the second time they'd ever played it live. The first time was like one or two shows before the one I went to, and yeah, so I'm grateful for that. It was an incredible show, like
Yeah.
go see them live if you can, because they're playing a show in Cleveland, Ohio, like one show, because they just got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So I'm crossing my fingers that, because I know they're going to tour again like next year, I think they've announced, but I'm praying that they're going to come here again so I can see them. They're easily my favorite band by far.
I think I'm finally too old to go into the mosh pit. I think I'll
Oh
die if
yeah,
I
I
go.
was outside of the pit when it started, but I was getting shoved and elbowed, so I was like shoving people back into the like
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I'm not in here. I'm just adjacent. I'm like pit adjacent,
We
But
went to a Butthole Surfers concert in St. Paul, me and my
yeah.
sons, and they were like, I don't know, 15. And we almost got hurt, right? They crushed us. And then they hauled some girl out on a stretcher. They had broken her neck. And it's like, holy shit. I mean, that was the worst I've ever seen as far as a mosh pit gone wrong. Because they hauled a couple people, other people out, and I just got, so I'm protecting my kids, and I just started getting vicious, and we got the hell out of the mosh pit. But most of the time, mosh pits are pretty cool. So I don't know. I like mosh pit.
I hope we're not roboting again.
Are we? Oh, my kid just
It
walked
happened
in.
earlier.
Hang on a second. I had to yell upstairs.
Okay. I think speed was kind of you guys can tell me in the chat if the stream was like freezing for a second, or because it did earlier, because I'm when I started streaming, there was it was like raining really hard outside, and I live in Texas, so my new normal is the fact that the power could effectively go out at any time,
Right.
and
Yeah.
so I was hoping like the power doesn't go out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope I'm not roboting again.
Hi, David. Hi, David Neff. I
Yeah,
did
and
say hi to you earlier, but
yeah. No, I was just saying that, let me know in the chat if we start doing the robot, but I'm probably gonna have to shoot our stream in the head soon, because
yeah.
I swear to God, I'm starting to lose my voice from streaming too much.
Yep, I have to go cough up cat hair and go eat something and watch some net. Oh, I'm watching City on the Hill on Showtime right now with Kevin Bacon. So, yep, and I think I should make some bacon to go with that.
Well, give the cat some if you do.
Yeah.
I honestly got rid of my cable a while ago because I don't think it's worth it. And I just watch YouTube anyway. So I'm so like lost when it comes to people telling me about TV shows.
I know.
Intended.
Yeah, I've been trying to get back into it because I have like 15 series I want to watch, and I end up going like tonight. I gotta review everything that Evidence and Reasons is doing. He's doing another show. He did like 2. He's done 3 today, and then SFT did a show, and then I got some programming that I got to do for a project that I'm working on with Demeter, and I'm just so damn busy. But tomorrow I have to program. So anyway,
well, are you going to be in the live chat of my stream tomorrow?
Yes, I will. Okay. I will be there. Yeah.
Well, okay. I think I'm going to try and save what's left of my voice for that interview tomorrow. So I guess we should sort of wrap this up here. But
yep.
So do you do weather report every day or every weekday?
Every weekday from 2 to 4, and please people subscribe to Answers in Atheism, just to make Standing for Truth mad, because he said I would never get over 100 subs, and I'm at like 420 now. So anyway,
yeah, he's at 420, which I almost don't want to ruin because it's so epic and based. Because dude, Weed Lamau, like weed is epic, dude. Weed.
Yeah. Well, I've been oscillating between 419 and 421, so it keeps crossing over 420. So
I'm daintily applying chapstick.
Yeah. We will.
Sorry, I stole that joke from Zach Galifianakis. So
yeah.
Okay, guys. Well, be here 5 p.m. Central tomorrow. I'm going to be interviewing Guts to Give It on my channel, so it's going to be a lot of fun. And
say bye.
I don't know what else to say, so I'm just going to end it. Bye, everybody.
Okay.